So a lot of people are always talking about how they want infantry maps and things like this inside of the Battlefield 2042 experience, and I will raise my hand, I am one of those guys. But one of the topics that we've been discussing on our live stream recently is the idea of evolving maps inside of Battlefield 2042. And what I mean by that is maps that will change from season to season. We see this a lot in BRs, and I would like to see this inside the multiplayer experience in All Out Warfare inside of 2042. We're going to talk a little bit about things that were apparently stripped and rumored to have been pulled out of the game, like Levolution, and we're going to talk about how these things could tie in to improve the experience in the coming months. So to begin, we'll start right there, actually, is the idea that Levolution, there was a leak that came out, apparently insider information, and said that Levolution was supposed to be in the game. There were supposed to be collapsible skyscrapers, just environmental changes to the scale that you would expect out of something like Siege of Shanghai. And realistically, due to complications, lack of time, and overall performance issues that those did create, because those do put a strain on an ongoing match. But because of those things, it was basically pulled from the game. To go on further, apparently there were some really extreme amounts of weather and alterations that were supposed to come through the game, not just a tornado or a sandstorm. Apparently there were like flooding, fire tornadoes, volcano eruptions, earthquakes. These experiences were supposed to be produced, but they ultimately didn't do it, and the reasoning that the insider provided was because they didn't have enough time. But that is something that we have plenty of throughout the cycle of 2042. In 6 months, a year, that could give them sufficient enough time to develop these types of things. So I am all for Levolution, or, you know, changing the weather, maybe just changing the seasons from maybe like icing over one of the maps or something, maybe turning the lights off, right? Maybe a night variation. These things can always be added to kind of add a fresh approach or a different way to play something that currently exists. The concept that we've been talking about in stream is the idea of evolving maps. Now, Battle Royales have been doing this for a while. Because of the scale of them, they just want to add this little freshness, this little kick and spice to the experience, where we have seen like comets come through and destroy entire cities in Fortnite maps, and it changes the entire landscape quite literally. We have seen situations in like Apex where they have done similar situations where they have altered parts of the maps or destroyed parts of the maps, or even brought in entire small cities or themes for some of the characters. And I think something like this can happen. Imagine, and the opportunity is there. It is obvious with seasons and this new approach for Battlefield. Changing the maps as we go could be extremely huge. There could be almost evolving experience inside of it. Like when maps change, you know, you might like the first season or the second season's variation, but it'll keep changing and keep feeling different. And I think that is something that's healthy for the experience. And of course, I know there's a lot of other priorities and things that they need to address right now, but this is just something that I'm talking about to be hopeful for. And I do think this is beyond hope. This is a possibility because of this new direction. These are things that other games that follow similar suits do. They change the maps, they evolve, and this is something with the scale of these maps they could do. So imagine like Breakaway, where a fight happens, and after everything subsides, the refinery at the end collapses and falls into the ice, and we now have an underground area to fight. Something along the lines of that. Or Hourglass, where the 3 huge towers that are in that collective area towards the end of Breakthrough, if those were to collapse and we had just a huge, almost Siege of Shanghai-like experience there. And I don't mind if it's in the form of Levolution, if it happens mid-game, but I would like to see these things change bit by bit throughout the seasons, like you see out of Apex Legends, which does honestly influence a lot of Battlefield 2042. Nobody can say that that kind of influence isn't there. And I think this would be really neat to have on a multiplayer level. You don't see this out of traditional arena shooters, and Battlefield could be the perfect candidate for them to experiment changing maps season to season. So that is an idea I was juggling around and we've been discussing, and something that we would really like to get excited for, and I hope we see this happen, and I hope all of those things that they had to cut do come back, and they can do it in this way and release these new types of events and earthquakes and things like this every few months when a new season launches. But either way, let me know what you guys think about this idea down below. I want to thank you guys. We hit 4,000 subscribers. You guys are crushing it, hitting that button and honestly supporting what we do here. I know Battlefield's in a rough place. I know it's not doing great, but those that are still tuning in and supporting these videos, you honestly mean so much to me, so thank you for that. I will catch the rest of you guys tomorrow with another 2042 video.